friends, Heidi here from Rain Country. God is good all the time. And today I'm going to show you how I make my special herbal shampoo. And I did shampoo my hair today using that shampoo. And considering I only do that once a week, I figured today would be a good day to make this video. Now, I'm going to show you this jar. This is my herbal blend right here. These all come from my garden. And I dehydrate them up, mix them together, and seal them into pint-sized jars so I have them throughout the year to make my shampoos and my just garden herb blend soap, bar soap. Now I'll read to you what's in it because I never remember because I have quite a few herbs in here, and all of these herbs are beneficial to both the skin and the hair. So they are pansy, rosemary, lavender flowers, sage, thyme, marshmallow, both the flowers and the leaves, calendula, nasturtiums, and dandelion roots and flowers. So what I start with is, I'm only wanting to make about a quart today. Last time I made a half gallon and it lasted me forever, so I don't really need that much. So I'm starting off with a quart, which is 4 cups of filtered rainwater. I'll put just a little bit more in there. Of course, I'll still have to add some other stuff, but some of this will cook off anyway. A little bit. And put it into my pan. Really good idea if you're on city water to use rainwater. Get into some rainwater collection, at least for the sake of consumption and even for making your shampoos, your vinegars, and things like that. And then what I want to do is put about quarter to a half, I'm going to say a half cup of my herbal blend, because I think I use maybe close to a cup when I'm doing twice as much. So all I'm going to do is make an herbal infusion to start with. So I'm going to put this on my hot plate hooked up to my solar power and let this heat through. Right. So I have it on the hot plate, I'm heating it, getting it heated up. I'm going to stir the herbs in, and then I got one more ingredient that is something else I grow around here that I'm going to add to it. And I'll show you what that is. Got 1 aloe vera leaf that I took out of the freezer. So what I do is when my aloes get too big, or sometimes the leaves just break off because they get bumped, I just throw them in the freezer. And then I'm just going to break it into small pieces and toss it in there. And it's breaking it up when it's frozen is the easiest. And then it'll just heat through, and then I'll be able to get all the juices out of that really easy. And since I have to filter this anyway, I'll be filtering out those chunks of aloe. So all I'm going to do is bring this to a boil, and then I'm going to turn the heat off and then let it sit and steep for a while. So I'll be back when I'm ready for the next step. I forgot that I had a fire going in the wood stove, kind of a low fire. So I decided to go ahead and put this on the wood stove instead of wear out my hot plate. Yeah, so I just kind of let it simmer for a while. And you'll see, so I'm filtering it out. And you'll see it has a nice brown color to it. That's the way we want it. I've let it cool a little bit so it's not hot anymore. I'm just going to squish all the liquid out of this. Obviously I'm not done filtering it out. And personally, I don't care if little bits and pieces of herbs still end up in there. It's no big deal. I just try to get the big chunk out. I mean, it's just so incredibly cheap to make this, especially if you're growing your own herbs. And you don't have to use all of the herbs that I've used here. This is just what I've added because it's what's in my garden that I know is good for skin and hair. All right, so I'm going to pour my herbal infusion here, and I'm telling you, it just has a real nice herb smell to it. I really enjoy it. Now I'm going to use, I've got some these are just pieces. Most of this right here now is just the flakes from when I make the homemade herbal soaps. And that's what I prefer using for the shampoo. And for this much, I'm going to go for 2 ounces total of the soap. Or some of them are the little decorative soaps that didn't really turn out very good. So I've got it on my thing here. 2 ounces total of soap. So you can, you know, grate your soap, whatever you want to do. I like to chop it typically. Like I said, most of these are just the flakes that come off the soap mold. So it doesn't have to be a precise thing. About 2 ounces for a quart. So I'm going to stick this back on the heat so this can all dissolve and melt into my mixture. Now that my soap is all dissolved and melted in there, I'm going to go ahead, and it's cooled off, I'm going to go ahead and pour it into my quart jar. And as I suspected, a lot of the water ended up cooking off. So I'm going to go ahead and top it off with a little more rainwater. And you will see it's pretty liquidy. It's not, but that's because it's still warm. It'll take a couple of days for it to get to where it has a good thick consistency. On to an easier method, or either to make it easier, or if you don't make your own homemade soap and you just don't want to use bar soap, I highly recommend going with Dr. Bronner's liquid soap. Their pure Castile soap, and I will link to this below. This is the lavender. This is the one I would recommend the most, but you can use any of them. You can use the rose, you could use the peppermint. Peppermint's real stimulating to the scalp. The only reason I recommend the lavender, because I know for sure that lavender is really good for helping promote hair growth, but then again, if peppermint's going to stimulate the scalp, then that should help as well. All right, what I recommend is if you're going to use the Dr. Bronner's soap like this, then start with a higher dilution, such as 4 parts of your infused water to 1 part soap. And you could even dilute it even more, like 5 parts infused water to 1 part of the soap. So start blending just small amounts at a time. So if you're going to, let's just say if you're doing 4 to 1, you're going to use a 1/4 cup of your herb infused water and then about a tablespoon of your soap. Try that. That's actually enough to last for a couple of days, I would say. And if you feel like you need a little bit more soap, then increase your soap blend, so it's 1 part soap, 3 parts herb infused water. So you got to kind of work with it and find out what's best for you. But obviously the more you dilute it, the longer you're going to be able to make your soap last. Because, you know, it's not cheap to buy a gallon, but it stretches for a really long way. You really don't need that much soap to make it work. This is how I keep my shampoo in the shower. This is a 15-ounce bottle, and as you can see, the shampoo is a lot thicker than what you've seen in the jar, because it's going to, like I said, it's going to take a day or 2 for it to thicken up like this. And what you need to understand about truly all natural shampoos is, or any kind of liquid soap, is that there is no phosphates added to them. Phosphates will strip your skin and hair of the natural oils, and they're very, very harsh, and they need to be avoided. But what do? They are the things that make your liquid soaps lather up really good. So you're not going to use this the same way you'd use regular shampoo. I find the easiest way to do this to get it to work through my hair is I keep a smaller bottle, about an 8-ounce bottle. I add just a little bit of the shampoo to it, and then I add some water and shake it up and then squirt it onto my hair like this and work it through. And then I'll leave it on for a minute or 2, rinse it out, and then I do my vinegar rinse the same way. I put about this much vinegar in my little 8-ounce bottle, fill it up with water, and then rinse it, work it through my hair, and leave it on for a minute or 2, and then rinse it out. It's really best to follow up the natural shampoo with your vinegar rinse. Your hair's just going to turn out a lot better if you do. However, the very first time that I used the shampoo, I tried it without, because I just created this. It was truly my own recipe. I tried it without using vinegar rinse and without using any added oil, and I was actually thrilled with how it turned out. I'm going to add a picture right here. That was how my hair looked the very first time that I used a shampoo. I was very happy with it. So anyway, a couple of options you can do with your shampoo. If you feel that as is, it's not conditioning enough, which I found it's great. But you can still, if you decide you want a little bit more conditioning, take some sweet almond oil, about a 1/4 cup, add it to your quart of your shampoo mix. After you've got it in the jar, or just before you put it in the jar, mix that in real well. I've tried it both ways, and I found that it was just as good without the oil in it. But if you have super dry hair and skin, it may be an extra step you want to take. And also some essential oils. Now, I'm not adding essential oils to this one because I do just like the nice herbal smell, but I've done that before. Like this batch right here is a grapefruit vanilla, and it smells really good. Another one is a lime vanilla. You could use lavender, rosemary, sage, whatever, and those are all, of course, very good for your hair. And just play with it and see what you like best. But again, you can it's great just like this it's great without the essential oils too. It just has a nice smell on its own. Alright, so that's how I make my homemade herbal shampoo. So I hope you enjoyed this video and learned something new. Thanks for watching. Take care, and God bless.